Hey guys, welcome back. Today, as promised, I'm going to give my thoughts and opinions on the Microsoft getting requests for younger audience Halo games. A news article that appeared on Gamespot about a week and a half ago. Yes, I know, I'm quite late to this, I'm sorry, but I wanted to make a few more videos before this and get them out. Now, before we start, I want to say two things. Number one, there currently are not any plans for this. So, as of right now, we're in the clear. It doesn't mean we're in the clear for very long, but as of now, we are in the clear. So, before you guys start freaking out in the comments saying that it's World War III, as of right now, there are no plans for a younger audience Halo game. That said, something contradicts this in the article, and I'm going to get to that in a little bit. Secondly, before we start, I just want to say that what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to skim through this article, picking out pieces of information that I want to talk about. So I'm going to talk about them very briefly to start off with, then give my own opinions, and then elaborate on these points. So if you do enjoy this video and agree with any of the points that I bring up and talk about in this video, then please don't forget to leave a like down below, and also leave a comment with your thoughts on this article, and also what you think it could mean for the future of Halo. So without any further ado, let's begin. Now, although Bonnie Ross says that there are currently no plans for this, the first paragraph in the Gamespot article has her saying that Microsoft are evaluating their options, because apparently, as of late, people have been asking Microsoft to make a Lego Halo game or something that skews to a younger audience. Now, personally, I go on a lot of Halo forums, right? I go on so many Halo forums, and I have never once, ever, not even for like comedic value, I've never once seen a single comment or thread or discussion or post or video or tweet or Facebook status, anything, literally nothing asking for this. But apparently we're the vocal minority. Quite honestly, I really do distrust the validity of this statement, and I'm going to get into more about this later. I really think that this could be something else. Bonnie Ross then goes on to say that 343 are aware that they can't alienate their core audience. Now this is good. I mean, it shouldn't need saying, but it's good that everyone is on the same page and that they don't want to screw over their audience that have been with them, like me, for 15 years by orienting Halo towards a younger audience just for the sake of money and for numbers and statistics, which is good. Then this next statement I want to pick out as well is very, very odd. 343 apparently want to be more purist in terms of the game's stories. However, fan feedback is apparently telling them that there's a little bit too much story out there. So what do you want? Do you want Halo games full of story, hence more purist? Or do you want stories that don't have a lot of extra story in them, like the supposed fan feedback is telling them? Now, this really doesn't compute in my head, because when I think purist, I think, okay, so it's people who love the old lore, love the new lore, and just love the lore in general, right? So they want a lot more lore in the games. They want the games to be deeper. They don't want really sort of simple surface level stories. They want stories with depth. They want stories with things they can go and research after they've played it. Of course, things that aren't absolutely detrimental to the story, so you don't have to spend an entire day on Wikipedia just to understand who the villain is, but you get what I mean. And finally, we have more comparisons with Star Wars, which again I find really odd, but this statement is actually quite good. It essentially says that Bonnie Ross doesn't essentially agree with the fact that the Star Wars universe has a lot of non-canon material and stories, and that she wants to keep the Halo universe more sort of curated and connected, so keeping as much stuff canon as possible, which is fantastic. That is a great thing. We need that. The second we start getting a shit ton of non-canon stories, the entire universe becomes muddled up, there's confusion everywhere, and it just becomes a really, really messy series. Okay, so I'm going to give you my thoughts and opinions on this overall article and interview, and then we're going to break down each one of the points that I previously just said and look at them in more detail. So, my opinion on this article and on Microsoft supposedly getting requests for younger Halo games in general, my opinion, this is a false flag, right? Microsoft are not getting any requests for this whatsoever. What I do think this is instead of actually getting requests, Microsoft is sort of making these requests up out of nowhere, not in a malicious way, but to sort of test the water and see what the, not just the Halo community, but also the general video game and sci-fi community reaction is to a game like Halo broadening its potential audience to younger people, and seeing if that's something that people would like, so in the form of a Lego Halo game, to see if people would like a Lego Halo game, or to see if it's something that people wouldn't like. And I really do think that this is a false flag. But just for the sake of playing devil's advocate, let's say that it's not. Let's say that Microsoft and 343 are getting a shit ton of requests through emails and stuff to make, for example, Lego Halo. Why have I got a problem with that? Well, I don't have a huge problem with it, right? Unless they retell the original trilogy in Lego, which actually could kind of be pretty cool. Sort of like they did with Lego Star Wars and Lego Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter and all that stuff. Then, if they aren't doing that, they're going to be making a new story purely for a Lego game. And then we have to look at whether this story is going to be canon or not. If the story is canon, then it's going to be told in the style of a story that isn't serious, right? It's going to be silly, and that, in my opinion, is going to massively degrade the integrity of Halo's universe. Imagine if the story actually ends up having some pretty serious implications on the overall arcing story. We'd get that story told with slapstick moments and really sort of, in my opinion at least, this is subjective, but in my opinion, really cheap comedic writing. And I'm not bashing the writing of the Lego games before, because I enjoyed Lego Star Wars, I really did, but you can tell that it's taking a sort of silly slapstick approach to the original story. Now, if a Lego Halo game was to get its own story and it was told in the same manner as the rest of the Lego Halo games are, it would really degrade the overall integrity of Halo as a series and also degrade its writing. On the other hand, let's say the story isn't canon. It's just a random story formulated out of nowhere that isn't canon. It's just there for enjoyment and fun purposes. What's the point in the story then? If it's not going to be canon, what's the point in it? What does it add to anything apart from making it just a tool to make money and appeal to younger generations? Maybe I'm being extremely naive here, but I just don't see a point in making a story for a Halo game that isn't canon. You know, I'm making a story for a full Halo game and then just not making it canon. It doesn't make any sense to me. It seems like a massive waste of time. My overall worry is that this could be the sort of manifestation of very early damage control and excuses and reasoning for Halo 6's writing being pretty simple and lacking any deeper lore, so 343 and Microsoft can sort of appeal to newcomers and a larger, much younger and broader audience, and I really hope that this is not the case. Okay, so let's go back through these original points that I picked out of the article and let's discuss them in a little bit more detail. Now, Microsoft evaluating their options really does spark worry in me, and it slightly contradicts the statement that there's currently no plans, because to Microsoft and to any business, not just I'm not trying to demonize Microsoft, to any business, time equals money. It's a very simple statement. Time equals money. They would not waste time discussing something if it's not going to potentially bring in a lot of money. However, on the other hand, the fact that Microsoft are evaluating the options of a younger Halo game could just be them sort of continuing Halo 5's attempted appeal at younger people. We saw a T rating, we saw the removal of pretty much every single piece of blood in the game, which is something that's been a staple to Halo for years now, so it could just be them trying to fit the mainline Halo games to appeal to a broader audience, or it could be them discussing things like Lego Halo. Unfortunately, we never know. Now, I browse, like I said before, a lot of forums. I browse Reddit, Waypoint, Team Beyond, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. Pretty much all of the Halo forums out there, I browse them. And never once have I ever seen somebody ask for a Halo game fitting for a younger audience. Now, I might be being naive in this, and there may well be many requests out there, but I personally have never seen them. What's actually interesting is that since Halo 5 released, I've seen quite a few threads and comments asking for the exact polar opposite, right? I've seen people asking for blood to be added back. I've seen people asking for slightly gorier games and stuff like that. So the evidence that I've seen is very contradictory of this. Now, the fact that they don't want to alienate their core audience is great. That's something that I said before. This is good. Okay, so now we're going to talk about what is arguably the most worrying piece of information in this entire article. And that's that apparently 343 are getting feedback that there's a little bit too much story out there. Now, this is a massive contradiction to 343 saying that they want Halo to be more purist in terms of its stories, but this in general, this cannot happen. This reaction after Halo 4 is very likely what led to Halo 5's problems. Halo as a game is not meant to be simple, right? It's meant to have underlying depth, it's meant to have character development that isn't just in the games. It's meant to have character motives that aren't explicitly stated, that you sort of have to look at the hints for to understand. It's meant to be full of story, not devoid of any deep story, just for surface level, very basic, almost like superhero action movie type story. If this does start to happen, we're going to start getting very two-dimensional characters with very basic motives, very little backstory, and interesting twists and turns in the stories will become virtually non-existent, right? They won't happen because the people that 343 will have to write the stories for won't grasp them as well as the people they're currently writing the stories for. They won't fully understand why this twist has happened, or where this turn in the story came from. My final words on this are that right now it doesn't look like anything is going to come from this, at least anytime soon. The reason I'm so passionate about this and have such a strong opinion is because Halo to me is so much more than just a game, and it has been for almost 15 years now. Halo has been a major part of my life for a larger portion of it than most people I know have been. So everything I say with my absolute undying love for Halo, past and present Halo in mind. I love Bungie for creating such a fucking fantastic series, and I love 343 for continuing it in such a great manner. Yes, both companies have their faults. It does seem like the formers seem to go under the radar quite a lot more compared to the latters, but still, no matter how much Halo changes or stays the same, and no matter how much I like that, I will still buy the games, and I will still love them as much as the last. But at some point, you have to make your opinions public, and this right here is where I do so. So thanks a lot for watching all the way to the end of this very different and extremely long video. I honestly didn't expect it to be as long as it ended up being, but again, thank you for sticking with me. I felt like it was something that I had to make. If you agree or even disagree with me on any of the points that I've brought up in this video, then let me know in the comments. Get a discussion going in the comments, because I love to see people talking about these topics and trying to come to conclusions on them. The next video is going to be an idea that I've sort of been working on for a while now, and that's regarding my ideal flood mission, if/when they eventually return. It's a really cool idea, and I think it doesn't only sound cool in concept, I think if you actually imagine the way that it's going to play, it sounds really, really cool too. I'm sure you guys are going to love it. It'll be up sometime over the next few days, so be sure to look out for it. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll see you then.